Both Manager A and Manager B have the same skill set. One day, the CEO calls Manager A into his office and says, "I want you to participate in the executive training program." The CEO does not offer the same opportunity to Manager B. Upon completion of the training program, Manager A's work performance skyrockets. He is so proud that the CEO has recognized his talents that he has been working even harder. So what happened to Manager B that prevents him from getting the recognition he deserves?
Hello, I'm Walter from IGM. The scenario you have just seen is part of an actual case study from the worldwide chemical manufacturer Dow Chemical Company. It was shown that employees who were recommended to participate in the executive training program showed signs of the Pygmalion effect. The effect is when the productivity level of a person increases due to the positive expectations or interest that is given to the person, like we saw in the case with Manager A. But while all this attention is being given to Manager A, where does that leave Manager B? What if, on top of this, Manager B's superiors did not have full confidence in him and micromanaged and interfered with his work? If so, Manager B could very well start to show signs of the Golem Effect, opposite to the Pygmalion effect. The Golem Effect is a psychological phenomenon in which lower expectations placed upon the individual by supervisors lead to poorer performance. This effect is named after the golem, a clay creature that appears in Jewish mythology. According to the legend, a golem is completely loyal to its master. However, if the master does not properly manage it, over time it becomes more and more violent and corrupt. Employees are the same. If a leader expresses low expectations and trust to a certain employee, that person will feel that their talent is being wasted and produce less than satisfactory results. However, Professor Jean-François Manzoni of France's INSEAD Business School says that once the Golem effect starts, it becomes a vicious cycle that is almost impossible to get out of. Let's take a closer look. This vicious cycle begins when a superior catches a subordinate employee making a small mistake. From that instant, the superior will assume that the employee isn't effective and makes a mental note to himself to monitor the person more carefully. When a superior starts to interfere and micromanage, the employee assumes that their superior does not trust them and loses motivation. This in turn leads to a drop in work productivity. When the superior sees this drop, they naturally start to involve themselves with the employee's work even more. Now the employee who's being micromanaged begins to become rebellious, resulting in even poorer work performance. Eventually, the employee starts to question their abilities and loses confidence. With this, their work performance truly hits rock bottom, ultimately leading to the employer making the final assessment that the person in question was truly unproductive all along. So what do you think? Is this a cycle you have unknowingly fallen into? Two major factors prevent most leaders from escaping this vicious cycle. One is the negative presumptions about his or her employees. These negative presumptions are in fact the starting point of this cycle. The other factor is the indiscriminating interference and control brought by these presumptions. So how do you avoid the Golem effect and falling into its vicious cycle? First, do not make hasty assumptions about employees. Instead of making spontaneous presumptions, base your decisions on objective and detailed observations. Once people start making presumptions, they will only see proof of what they assume. This phenomenon is called the confirmation bias, which is the tendency to favor information that confirms their beliefs or hypotheses. Confirmation bias can come from a variety of sources. Mistakes made at the workplace are a given, along with inappropriate behavior, and even the way a person dresses can lead to reinforcing the confirmation bias. Leaders must learn not to make their employees paint themselves into a corner due to the leader's assumptions and stereotypes. They need to develop the habit of judging their employees objectively over time and through detailed observations. Leaders mustn't think as in the likes of, "Manager B doesn't seem to be concentrating that well these days. See, I told you so." Instead, a leader must look into whether it's a personal problem or something work-related. So check the employee's work hours, performance, and gather the assessment of his or her coworkers. Remember that once the presumptions start and the Golem effect is triggered, it is extremely difficult to stop the cycle. Second, instead of interfering, conduct positive problem-solving participation. If the objective data reveals that there is in fact a real problem with the employee, then it is the leader's duty to step up and manage them. But calling them up to your office to offer one-sided suggestions and instructions is a form of criticism in itself. And with this, employees will get the message that the leader doesn't trust them anymore. When this happens, employees can fall into the vicious cycle of the Golem effect. In order to avoid such outcomes, a leader must approach the employee with the objective data and confirm whether there is a problem or not. The next step is to work together to make the necessary improvements to solve the problem at hand. During this process, it is best for a leader to announce beforehand how they will become involved, such as suggesting a meeting every afternoon to discuss work progress. By respecting the feelings of employees and focusing on positive participation, a company as a whole can work to avoid the Golem effect and solve problems. According to a survey conducted by a Korean job search portal, the thing that employees want to hear most from their superiors is, "I know you will do a good job." This shows the importance employees place on positive trust and interest from their superiors. Every leader wants their employees to realize their full potential and grow. But the answer to this isn't always clear. Hopefully, what we have talked about today has given you some valuable insight. Will your employees be affected by the Pygmalion effect and realize their full potential, or turn into a violent, uncontrollable golem? It's all up to you.